Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And good evening, everyone. So today is Sunday. We're all been practicing here since yesterday, from morning to the night and the morning to the night. 2 days of a practice. So when the Buddha became an enlightened at the age of 35, the day when he became an enlightened one, at that moment, first he managed to recollect previous births, where, which condition, and how he was in the previous lives. So he was able to comprehend for eons of a lifetime in the previous lives. And the second knowledge he gained was what happens next, the rebirths. When a being dies in this world, where the person or a being will reborn in the next realms. And he saw that the reason why we are reborning in the next life is simply because there is a desire. There is this thirst that everybody are so attached to. It's like a gluing in. And as a result of that attachment, this clinging, we will be reborning all the time. And that's how he understood that the suffering that we are facing in this world is simply because we are subject to be born. And the reason that we have to be born is because of the craving that we have, the desire, this thirst. And now, what he understood was that the moment when we able to eliminate this desire, then we will be no more reborning in other realms. So basically, ending the samsara. Having understood that, he investigated the path to eliminate this desire, and that's how he managed to eliminate, and that is the third knowledge that he attained on that night. And the path that he chose to eliminate that desire is known as the way, the Eightfold Noble Path. And this Eightfold Noble Path, as a result of that, is the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. And in a way, it is a Buddhism. It is a de-Buddhism. As a result, often people call this Buddhism as the way, or just way of life. And that's simply because of the path. Because the entire teachings of the Buddha is talking about there is a suffering and this suffering can be ended. And to end that suffering, we have this path. And the person who walks on this path, sooner or later, that person will attain that enlightenment, which is the freeing from the cycle of a birth and a death and experiencing the suffering. So this, the path, Eightfold Noble Path, starts from having a right understanding. So Buddhism starts from wisdom. We have to understand the things as they truly are, understanding reality pertaining to itself rather than what we want it to be. And this understanding, in line with the natural law, purifies our views, perceptions, our faith, our values on the things. So we will be raising above the socially conditioned, created conditions. And with that, our thinking process becomes so natural, and we will have a right thinking in line with the Dhamma. Will be no harming, will be no cheating, ill will, jealousy, so on. Speaking will be in line with the right speech. Skillful speaking becomes whatever we say. And so on, this entire Eightfold Noble Path becomes the path that helping us to clear our understanding, living a moral life and having a concentrated mind. So we have a control over this mind. And this entire practice, again, ability to comprehend by the practice. So meditation as a result is the main factor of Buddha's teachings. And meditation is the main key that allows us to unlock the entire journey, entire life. And that leads to the realization of entire teachings of the Buddha. So that's why this meditation is so essential in the practice of a meditation, practice of a Buddhism. But this meditation alone is not the one. It has to come along with so many other factors, living a moral life and also having a right understanding, wisdom. Now, in general, when we practice meditation, according to the discourses, we find that there are main four postures that we have to be mindful of. The first posture is the standing. The second is the walking. And the third is the sitting. And the fourth is the ability to be mindful whatever you are doing. Now, in the practice of a walking meditation, in the practice of a standing meditation, which is the first posture, we are standing upright in a very relaxed position. Our head is not bending towards any sides or not tilted, and looking forward around 30 to 40 degrees. and mentally observing this standing body as a physical form which is standing. And it allows us to be more grounded within our body, within our self. And our mind is not going anywhere else, but fully focused on the posture that is there. Now, the second practice is a walking practice. In the walking practice, in the standing position, Buddha said in Satipatthana, Tito wa tito miti pajanati, which means if you are standing, you know that you are standing. So, being mindful of your standing posture. And the second one, the walking practice, and in this walking practice, basically, gachanto va gachamiti pajanati, which means when you are walking, you are mindful of your walk. Now, in the practice of a walking meditation, we have to remember there are two different types of a walking. One, mindful walk, and two, walking meditation. In the mindful walk, we are mindfully walking without any destination, without any proper form of a walking. You simply walk naturally and being able to mindful of any other phenomena based on whichever you want to pick, or simply just observe as it is, as appear in front of you. And silently you're simply walking and merge into the weather, and merge into the nature and the sounds and colors and so on. And you feel relaxed. And oftentimes we will be lost into the thoughts and emotionally engaged into those thoughts and so on. Whereas practice of a walking meditation, it has a limitation of a walking distance, and it has a methodical walk, methodically walking, which allows us to be more grounded within ourselves and also helps us to notice the thinking mind, which oftentimes we lost into the thoughts and unable to track. But in a walking meditation, as we are walking, when we come to the end of the walkways that we have predetermined, we realize that we were lost into the thought and we can stop at that time. At least there will be new beginning, back to normal, back to present moment, and start walking. Now there are different ways to do the walking meditation, but in our center we are using, it's called the systematical way of a walking meditation, which has got the 6 stages, but we don't need to practice up to the 6 stages. At least of the third would be enough. So practicing until the 3rd stage of walking meditation. And in terms of the sitting, the 3rd, in the sitting meditation, the Buddha said in Satipatthana, say, Nisidati pallankang abhujitawa. So your legs resting properly and your body is upright. And observing this body existence. whichever way you are sitting, which I normally call imagining that you are sitting in front of the mirror and observing your body posture, whether you're sitting comfortably or not. And that is ujung kayang panidhaya, so your upright position. So you're keeping your body upright. So good posture always assists to have a good mindfulness. And simply adding more details on it, putting your right hand on top of the left hand, or your cross-legged, whichever position you feel comfortable, or even sitting on a chair. And after that, we channel our mind to the meditation object. And here, because our mind is always wandering, always need an object to arise, and it has been so used to that our mind is all over the world, and suddenly keep that mind onto the object will be difficult. So that's why we have to train. And in order to train this mind, we adapt one object and working with that one object. And once we have adapted one object, we have to work with it until we familiarize with it, then we know ins and out. Suppose the breath or the abdomen rise and fall. When it is coming in, we know. When it is going out, we know. And further on, other phenomena arises along with it. That is known as a parimukhang sating upattapetawa. So your mind is at front of the object whenever it is arising. Breath coming, going. And that is the way we develop our concentration. And as the concentration develops gradually, rather than absorbed by the concentration and addicted to the concentrated mind, we allow the senses to work. Being mindful of every sensation, every thing that arises along with the senses, whether the sound that we hear, whether the smell that we smell, or whether the weather or the environment that affects to the body, coldness or heat. So equanimously observing that. No pleasant and unpleasant sensation in it. Simply a sensation, no liking, no disliking, observing it as they are. And this allows us to see things as they truly are, and that is known as a right understanding. So with this, we will be fulfilling the Eightfold Noble Path, and that is the way that leads to the freedom, the enlightenment. And this allowing the senses to work and understanding the phenomena that arises is basically knowing on the go, whatever arises, being mindful of it and let it be, understanding that things impermanent. And this understanding helps us to understand that things that is impermanent, when we would like it to be permanent, that creates the suffering. And the cause of that suffering is our desire, our craving to that impermanent to be permanent. And with that, we are trying to establish ourselves in existence. So it become an existential thought of me existing. And that leads to the whole sort of other wrongful activities. So the practice of a meditation basically to understand this truth, that the truth of suffering, and the suffering is originated from our desire, and able to see that, understanding it, and eventually that leads to the liberation. And that is the ultimate goal of the Buddha's teachings. So that the more we practice, our mindfulness becomes stronger, clearer, sharper. And with that sharpness and the clearance of this mindfulness, help us to see things as they truly are, known as the pure wisdom. And this pure wisdom lead to the liberation. So with this reflection, let us practice for some time before the end of today's session. May you all be well and happy, and continue practicing until you hear the signal. สัพเพสัตตาสัตว์ทั้งหลายที่เป็นเพื่อนทุกข์เกิดแก่เจ็บตายด้วยกันทั้งหมดทั้งสิ้นอาเวราหุนตุจงเป็นสุขเถิดอย่าได้มีเวรแก่กันและกันเลยอาภัยาปชาหุนตุจงเป็นสุขเถิดอย่าได้พยาบาทเบียดเบียนซึ่งกันและกันเลยอานิคาหุนตุจงเป็นสุขเถิดอย่าได้มีความทุกข์กายทุกข์ใจเลยสุขีหัตานังปริหารันตุจงมีความสุขกายสุขใจรักษาตนให้พ้นจากทุกข์ภัยทั้งสิ้นเถิด So can you observe the five precepts? So it's finished. Yeah, you have to observe five precepts.
Yes.
Thank you, Margaret, and good night. See you tomorrow at Credo. Thank you.